Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 26th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and we begin with breaking news. President Trump moments ago addressing the nation and answering questions and concerns over the outbreak of the coronavirus. He says the risk of a major outbreak in the U.S. remains low and that he's working with federal agencies and Congress to coordinate a robust response.
We were asking for $2.5 billion, and we think that's a lot. But the Democrats and I guess Senator Schumer wants us to have much more than that. And normally in life I'd say, we'll take it. We'll take it. If they want to give more, we'll do more. We're going to spend whatever's appropriate. Hopefully we're not going to have to spend so much because we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
President Trump says Vice President Mike Pence will lead the administration's efforts. Meanwhile, it was another down day for the stock market as it responds to the outbreak's impact on the global economy. The Dow fell more than 100 points. Another developing story tonight. Several people were killed this afternoon in a mass shooting in Wisconsin. Police rushed to the Molson Coors brewery in Milwaukee just moments ago. They gave an update saying 5 people were killed before the shooter took his own life. There are no details on what led up to the shooting or how the shooter may be connected to the business. A victory today for the Trump administration when it comes to the battle over sanctuary policies. A federal judge in New York says federal grant money can be withheld from local governments over immigration policy. The ruling involves several states in the Northeast that brought the case. The main issue is that the Trump administration wants access to jails and advance notice when those in the country illegally are due to be released. The San Diego County Office of Ethics and Compliance is investigating alleged racist social media posts. They were allegedly written by a county employee responsible for helping low-income people qualify for housing subsidies. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar has more.
The NAACP San Diego branch brought the allegations to the attention of the County Board of Supervisors Tuesday. They say an African-American disabled woman filed a complaint to them about the county employee after she was harshly questioned by him regarding her Section 8 housing voucher. They say their investigation later found the man had posted and shared racist memes on his personal social media accounts.
We're all familiar with Section 8 housing. Because of the nation's history of racism, the vast majority of Section 8 beneficiaries are people of color.
The posts include memes about African Americans, illegal immigrants, and Muslims. One depicted Senator Kamala Harris as a prostitute. Another said Michelle Obama was fluent in ghetto. The NAACP says the woman did notify the employee's supervisor about his behavior.
We don't feel that a person with that much power should be exhibiting extremist views in his personal life nor his professional life. And sometimes the two are not separate. They mirror each other.
A county spokesperson says they are looking into, quote, what we knew and when we knew it. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
Next week's primary is the first test for San Diego's new multi-million-dollar voting system. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman got a look at the upgrade, which includes new voting machines and software designed to be fast and secure.
The last time we introduced a new voting system was 16 years ago, so this is very significant.
The county says its old system was slow and outdated.
And so what we needed to do was scale up and add more capacity to the overall system.
New technology means ballots will be counted faster and more accurately.
The total number of ballots that they could scan in a 45-minute time frame is 500 per person. So this is 10,000 cards per hour, much more efficient than what we were doing before.
That means we could see results coming in faster on election night. The entire upgrade is costing around $16 million. The county has a contract to use this new system for at least a decade.
We have been very methodical about how we introduce this new voting system, where the impact is really minimal to voters that are out there.
Most voters will still be casting their ballots using these traditional fill-in-the-bubble paper ballots, but for those who use those touchscreen units in the past, these are the new units under that system. It's another touchscreen unit, much larger. Basically, you come up, make your selections. There's going to be a key card that you put in here. Once your selections are done and you finish, you click print. You have this paper and you give it to a poll worker. There will be one of these new voting machines at every precinct. Those going to one of the new satellite voting locations or to the registrar's office will have to use them.
I'm not kidding.
The new technology is approved by state officials, and the county says the system is safe and locked down.
Not only is it secure, but we've looked at this from very different angles to see how this could go wrong.
Any machine?
Yes, sir.
Nearly 2,000 people have already voted using these new machines, and there have been no issues so far. The real test, though, will be Election Day. In total, at least 1 million people in the county are expected to vote in the March primary. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The Better Business Bureau is warning of a scam targeting those who want to contribute to political campaigns. The scam works like this. You get a robocall supposedly from a campaign asking for money, only it's not a campaign. It's a scammer, of course. And if you say yes, the call then transfers you to a real person who takes your credit card information. That information can also then be used to steal your ID. The BBB suggests staying away from unsolicited robocalls. California's primary is now less than a week away. A new poll out today from NPR station KQED shows Bernie Sanders as the clear frontrunner at 37%. Elizabeth Warren is a distant second at 20%. Last night, the candidates took part in a debate in South Carolina, which votes on Saturday. Mary Maloney has a look back.
Bernie Sanders feeling the burn of being the frontrunner.
Bernie and I agree on a lot of things, but I think I would make a better president.
Bernie, in fact, hasn't passed much of anything.
Imagine spending the better part of 2020 with Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump.
I'm hearing my name mentioned a little bit tonight.
Democratic candidates for president taking shots at the Vermont senator for past comments.
Bernie voted 5 times against the Brady bill.
And current campaign promises.
Bernie Sanders' analysis is right. The difference is I don't like his solutions.
After a disastrous debate performance in Las Vegas, Michael Bloomberg hoping to rebound.
I have been training for this job since I stepped on the pile that was still smoldering on 9/11. I know what to do. I've shown I know how to run a country.
Well, I'm not out of time.
Joe Biden fighting to keep his candidacy afloat.
I intend to win South Carolina, and I will win the African-American vote here in South Carolina.
Candidates attempting to appeal to African-American voters. More than 60% of the Democratic electorate in South Carolina is black, making the voting bloc crucial for any campaign.
It's not just who talks the best, who actually gets things done. And especially with the African-American community, there have been a lot of broken promises.
This is the last time the candidates will be together on stage before the South Carolina primary and delegate-rich Super Tuesday. In Charleston, South Carolina, I'm Mary Maloney.
You can organize your local ballot with the KPBS Voter Guide. You enter your location and you'll be able to sort through all of your local races and ballot measures. You can also save your picks to save time when you're ready to vote. We have a link to the KPBS Voter Guide on our homepage at kpbs.org. Our recent report of San Diego Superior Court judicial candidate Sean McMillan's Facebook post has created an uproar. Many people allege the posts are racially charged, carry anti-immigrant themes, and ridicule gender identity. McMillan told KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma last week that had he known he was running for judge, he likely would not have shared the posts. He also said he might have been, quote, like all the other candidates and kept all his views secret, hidden, unquote. Here's more on what McMillan said and reaction by Jan Stiglitz, professor emeritus at the California Western School of Law.
San Diego Superior Court judicial candidate Sean McMillan has shared controversial posts on his Facebook page. One advocates arming all Americans. Another states President Trump replaced a racist president, referring to former President Barack Obama. Still another suggests stopping welfare to illegal immigrants as a way to get them to deport themselves. And one shows pictures of Monica Lewinsky, former NFL player Colin Kaepernick, and U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, along with the caption, "When nobody knew who you were until you got on your knees." Political candidates make incendiary comments all the time. But what about judicial candidates? Should they?
No, except that
it gives you a window into who they are and actually exposes why they are unqualified to be on the bench. What you need in a politician and elected representative is a point of view, is an agenda, is a plan for policy change. You don't want that in a judge. A judge is supposed to be neutral. A judge is not supposed to be prejudiced. A judge is supposed to have an open mind and treat people with respect. And when someone walks into a judge's courtroom, they want to know that the judge has not prejudged them or prejudged the issue they're bringing before the court. So when you have a candidate like this, who makes a comment about there are only two genders, who may never have had a case involving gender discrimination and seeing research and science on it, that judge is not perceived as coming in with an open mind.
The San Diego County Bar Association judged McMillan to be lacking qualifications, but they didn't say why. Should they have?
It would have been helpful because we don't know whether, like me, they found him unqualified because he seems to have prejudged very serious issues and wouldn't be fair and respectful of everyone who came before him. It could also be for other reasons, like he lacked a legal background, like he may have taken actions as a lawyer that suggest he is not the kind of person who you want on the bench. And we don't know. So it would have been helpful to know.
Where do you stand on the issue of judicial elections? Should Superior Court judges be appointed or should they run?
I much prefer the appointment system. I know every election time I get calls from friends, do you know any of these judges? Who do you think I should vote for? I've been involved in the San Diego legal community for 40 years, and half the time I don't know all of these judges. I do know that when the governor is ready to appoint someone, there's a very intensive vetting process and a commission set up to seek input and give a good evaluation of prospective judges. So I actually trust gubernatorial appointments more than I do the election process.
Most people don't pay very much attention to these judicial races, but how important are judges to people's lives?
Oh, they're extremely important. You know, if you have, if you believe that your rights have been violated, whether it's a merchant who has cheated you, whether you've suffered a severe accident, whether there's been discrimination in the workplace, you want to know that there's a judicial system that will give you a fair opportunity to be heard.
Jan Stiglitz, thanks so much for speaking with me today.
You're very welcome.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, how the Trump administration is preparing the nation for the threat of coronavirus. That's coming up at 7 right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Flames lit up the morning sky at an oil refinery in Carson, just outside of LA. The Marathon Refinery is the largest on the West Coast. It processes heavy crude from the San Joaquin Valley and Los Angeles Basin. It took all kinds of help to put the flames out. No one was hurt. An explosion in a cooling tower is being investigated. A flight simulator used to help fight wildfires is on the list of projects that will remain in limbo. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh says it's just one of the projects the Trump administration put on hold to expand the border wall.
So, Matt, if I get this thing ready, put it on ground cursor.
Flight simulator for the California National Guard was put on hold last year during the first round of budget cuts. The simulator was scheduled to be built in the Channel Islands to train pilots on C-130Js. The Air National Guard is increasingly being called to fight wildfires. The C-130 is used to drop water and flame retardant. The simulator was originally scheduled to go online this September. According to a statement from the Secretary of Defense's office, none of the 127 projects which lost funding in 2019 received authorization this year. Instead, the Trump administration pulled another $3.2 billion from military projects this year after the budget passed. U.S. Representative Susan Davis is a member of the House Armed Services Committee.
We're left with really a situation where the administration is controlling all of the defense budgets, and they are a partner in this, but it is they are not they do not make all those decisions. The Congress does by law.
The flight simulator and other projects are essentially canceled unless funding is placed in a future budget. The California National Guard would not comment, citing ongoing litigation. The California Attorney General is among the state AGs suing the Trump administration to restore funding for the projects. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
The Mountain Empire School District in East County had to cancel classes today due to high winds. Problems started early this morning as the powerful gust blew this tractor trailer right off the I-8 in East County. Another got blown off as well. Both drivers were okay, though, and another wind advisory is in effect for the mountains and valleys through tomorrow. Dajia Swad has our forecast.
In the past 24 hours, we've had reports of some very high wind gusts. Sill Hill, 106 miles per hour, and out to Riverside on the lesser end, 71 mile per hour gusts were reported once again in the past 24 hours. And this is because we have an offshore flow, and that Santa Ana wind will continue through tonight. We're noticing warmer air really building across Southern California. We are still likely to see some very high gusts that could lead to some power outages. So something to keep in mind. Keep your cell phones charged. Mid-50s tonight, mainly clear conditions. So dry weather even as we move into tomorrow with highs in the lower 80s for San Diego, Oceanside. Also feeling that warmth in Borrego Springs with a high of 81 and 61 for Mount Laguna. As we roll through this weekend, a better chance for our next disturbance to usher in some moisture across portions of California and the chance for some cooler conditions to come your way. So above average at the coast for tomorrow as well as Friday, topping off once again in the lower 80s, partly sunny skies. 71 Saturday, and then by Saturday night into Sunday, we'll be accounting for a bit more cloud cover and wet weather. Sunday and Monday in the lower 60s, and still early week at the coast, a few showers possible. We're also going to notice that same trend here inland in the upper 80s Thursday, Friday, feeling very, very warm, well above average. Saturday, not as warm, mid-70s, and then really feeling that cool down into Sunday as clouds and showers return to our forecast. Still a chance for some passing showers inland areas on Monday with a high at 62. Mountains, we won't get that big warm up in the 80s, but we'll still be feeling pretty good in the lower 60s Thursday and Friday. Then into the 50s, feeling cooler Saturday. Winds picking up Sunday here in the mountains with a chance for rain and snow showers Monday with a high only at 36, and desert areas feeling that warm air for the late week forecast. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Dajia Swad. Back to you.
A man who'd been in prison for 16 years is now free and figuring out what to do next. He'd been sentenced under the state's felony murder rule, which says people can be convicted of murders they were present for but didn't actually commit. That law changed last year, and now KPBS investigative reporter Claire Tregesser has an update on his story.
Sean Khalifa wanders the campus at San Diego State University, taking in the crowds of students rushing to class.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Isn't too much for you right now?
No, I went to the library earlier. I loved it.
College is one of the many things Khalifa missed. He went to prison at age 15 and is now 31. He's touring SDSU with the hopes of enrolling as a student in a few years.
That's Khalifa heaven, as a library.
His life took a dark turn when, as a teenager in Riverside County, he participated in a home invasion. He acted as lookout while two of his friends savagely beat the homeowner, Hubert Love, to death. Khalifa says the plan was to rob him, but he had no idea they would kill him. But he was still convicted under California's felony murder rule, which allows the defendant to be charged with murder for a killing that happened during a dangerous felony, even if the defendant is not the killer. But then last year, new hope. A new law removed much of the felony murder rule and allowed prisoners like Khalifa to apply for a lesser sentence. District attorneys in the state, including San Diego DA Summer Stephan, challenged the law change, but this week the California Supreme Court rejected their challenge. That means there's no question Khalifa will remain free. He sat down with KPBS to talk about his journey.
I started letting it sink in and letting go and starting to embrace the fact that I was going home and it wasn't going to be stopped this time. And I got to embody it and feel it. You could just feel the stress like melt off of you. when you kind of know you're going home instead of just thinking it's possible.
Have you spoken to the victim's family at all?
I have not. It would be nice to like make living amends and have dialogue with them in the future, but I understand currently my release is not something that they're excited about or happy. They're probably worried and they're going through a lot of stress themselves. So I think the best thing is just time.
What would you want to say to them?
I would just want to let them know that personally, it was a tragedy in my life as well that Mr. Love lost his life, and it's something I have to live with forever, just knowing that I was there, like I showed up and that I didn't get him help that day. That's something I live with the rest of my life, and I'll spend the rest of my life making living amends for that.
So you've been in prison for more than 15 years.
Yeah, 16 exactly, a couple of days over.
Are you worried about fitting back into normal life?
What's so exciting is that when I came back out, it felt like I never left, because I've always been goofy. I've always liked to make people laugh. I've always been silly. But before, I was a criminal, so I thought like a criminal. And I had all these criminal attributes like stealing and lying. But now to be out here and to be able to make people laugh, but have these humble experience that I've gotten, like while in prison, all the groups I'd taken, like all the work I've done on myself, to come out here and now exhibit humbleness, kindness, compassion, helping strangers, like I just love it. I'm like super excited. I'm fitting right into society.
Other things that you want to say?
There's a guy named Joshua Nichols who was a former lifer I was hanging out with the other day. He said it's called survivor's guilt, where you feel bad for the guys you left behind. So that's just one thing I want to share, that there's still guys in there that don't need to be incarcerated. So hopefully that's what restorative justice does eventually. That's why I'm wearing this shirt.
Sean Khalifa's mom, Colleen Khalifa, is thrilled to have her son home. She says she doesn't worry about him reintegrating into society at all.
When I see the look of happiness and joy on his face, and I know who he is and his strong character, I can't worry. I can't worry about him because I know he's going to be fine.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
And Khalifa is now living in Escondido and is involved in youth mentorship and the restorative justice program at Southwestern College. Socks, toothbrushes, dental exams, warm meals, and haircuts are some things we take for granted, but not the homeless. That's why today, the San Diego Housing Commission held its 14th annual Project Homeless Connect to provide services for the homeless community. Participants had access to things like foot washes and reading glasses, brand new clothing and socks, as well as legal and medical services. Simon Rivera, a Vietnam War veteran, has been homeless since January. This is his first time at Homeless Connect.
I appreciate programs like this because we were forgotten back in my day. They didn't do things for us in Vietnam when we came home. So to see programs like this nowadays, I think it's great for the young veterans getting out and coping with life situations of everyday life. I think it's a real good thing that people like this in the city of San Diego help veterans like us.
And veterinary services were also offered. This event is the largest in San Diego. It's Ash Wednesday, and despite the growing outbreak of coronavirus, services at the Vatican went on as planned. Crowds were a bit smaller than usual, but hundreds of Catholics still gathered to hear Pope Francis speak. During the service, the Pope expressed his concern for those who are sick. There are more than 300 confirmed cases in Italy, the highest number in any country outside of Asia. It's having an effect on major tourist cities like Milan, which is less than an hour's drive from one of the so-called red zones. More now from Ben Wiedemann.
The pigeons outnumber the tourists in Milan's Piazza del Duomo. It's less than an hour's drive from one of the so-called red zones, where more than 50,000 people are living under lockdown as the Italian authorities struggle to halt the spread of coronavirus. It's not normal that there are so few people, says Cinzia Altieri. This is the week of Carnivale, and people usually bring their children here in costumes. Some tourists are still here, but their presence belies the jarring reality of this crisis. Via the internet, we spoke with journalist Mario Borra, who lives in the red zone town of Codogno with his wife and 2 young children. Normal life, he says, has come to a screeching halt. The city is completely closed, Mario says. You can't do anything, literally. The municipality, post offices, banks, any activity with a gathering of people has been suspended. Even funerals can only be attended by 2 or 3 close relatives. In his close-knit town, tragedy is felt by all. We're a very small community, he says. Everyone knows each other. Someone who died yesterday is the father of one of my friends. In Milan, museums, universities, and schools are closed. The city's famous La Scala Theater is shuttered. All bars and cafes are under orders to shut their doors at 6 p.m. All these measures intended to slow the spread of the disease. This group of university students gets in their last drinks before closing time. Emma isn't worried.
Like the death rate is very low, and in the end, people die always from.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You're young. Not everybody is young.
Yeah, I am worried for
Yeah.
my grandparents.
Yes.
Of course. I already called them already, like made sure that they have precautions and everything.
More precautions and everything may still be needed. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Milan.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.